Seattle Seahawks. We've got 3 offensive linemen hitting free agency, 3 starters. Leonard Williams, who they just traded for, hitting free agency. And a little reset here in Seattle with Mike Macdonald coming in as head coach. What are we looking for with Seattle? Geno Smith. There's rumors about Geno Smith trades.
Why?
I don't know. I think he's their guy for at least the next year or 2 here. So.
Yeah, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So question 1 is always, are they going to use the franchise tag? And if so, on whom?
On any of those guys? Noah Fant, also a free agent.
Yeah,
what's the tight end tag? I don't think
it's like $12 million or something. It's not much.
Yeah, it's one of those that's lower than the other positions pretty significantly. I was getting questions on Seattle radio the other day about Will Dissly maybe taking over for Noah Fant. He's your blocking tight end. Tight end's still going to be a need with Fant leaving.
Franchise tag is $12.7 million for tight end, which is the lowest in the NFL outside of special teamers.
So then they just...
running back is slightly lower as well.
Remind me, do you remember what they gave up for Leonard Williams?
No, but it was a second, right?
Yeah. So Seattle doesn't have a second-round pick, and that trade just looks worse.
2024 second and a 2025 fifth.
For half a season of Leonard Williams?
Yes.
That looks horrible right now.
Right, so you almost, in the sunk cost fallacy world, basically have to franchise tag him, otherwise you look terrible.
That's what I'm saying. Like Leonard Williams...
But it was a different... it wasn't Mike Macdonald.
Leonard Williams is a very good player. He's very consistent. He is not an impact player. His former teammate, Dexter Lawrence, with the Giants, is an impact, game-wrecking type of player. Leonard Williams is not that guy. So that's... Chris Jones, game-wrecking impact player. Aaron Donald, of course. Williams isn't that guy. He's really good and solid. Like if you let me have Leonard Williams for $12 million a year instead of $20 million a year, I'm in. The problem is that price tag for me. And then when you think about the second-round pick, it's one of those when you're in the middle of the season, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to get this guy. It's a big hole in our defensive line. He's going to help, and we're going to make a run. And then you get to the offseason, it's like, wait, I'm missing a second? I'm missing an entire second-round pick? It's a lot. I don't know if we sunk cost that thing into a long-term deal with Williams, though.
Yeah. The alternative is you franchise tag him.
No.
No?
That's so much.
It's not that much. You franchise tag him, it'll be it's 21, 22 million for a year. Yeah. You want to do that? I don't want to do that, but neither do I want to let him walk and look like an idiot because I gave up a second and a fifth round pick to do it.
I think you got to look like an idiot.
You have to look like an idiot?
Yeah.
I don't want to look like an idiot.
That's where we are. Jamal Adams, potential cut candidate at safety. I like where we are at receiver.
Speaking of looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
That's one of the worst trades that's been made in recent memory.
So a lot of their money's locked up in Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs. Both of those guys are up over 20. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. Again, I'm good with the receiver money there. I love the foundation. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba will be good in year 2. Will be better in year 2 at least. Love that trio at receiver. I think you got to clean things up on the defensive side. So McDonald, it's going to be interesting seeing what types of players he's coveting and where he wants to go. But I think Adams, to me though, I think you can move on from Leonard Williams, say it's over, and move on from Jamal Adams.
But a guy like Adams also becomes interesting with Mike Macdonald coming in. It's like, what can Mike Macdonald create from Jamal Adams, who, remember, at the start of his career was seen as this not even jack of all trades, a guy that could do it all at safety. He can play anywhere you want, from linebacker to cornerback, and make an impact everywhere. And then Seattle traded multiple first-round picks for him, and it's like, oh no, he's just a disaster that can only play at linebacker and can't do that particularly well. Does Mike Macdonald look at him as a really intriguing reclamation project, given what we've seen from him earlier in his career? Or does he look at him the same way everybody else and goes, I can't make any use of this in my defense?
Weird career arc, for Jamal Adams. Because people questioned the trade at the time.
Yeah.
But that was when he was playing well, too.
Yes.
If he had played at the same level that he played with the Jets, it'd be easier to justify it before the drop-off there. Yeah, again, there's $7 million in cap savings if he gets cut. I am with you though, is intrigued with McDonald.
And there's also almost $20 million in dead cap money if you get rid of him.
No, I know.
I just wonder, like, he might be looking at Jamal Adams the same way as everybody else. When you turn on the tape, you're like, this guy can't play anywhere at the moment. Like, the closest
he's battled injuries.
All I can do with him is hide him at linebacker, and he's worse doing that than just a linebacker. So what am I doing here? Or he looks at Jamal Adams and says, look, earlier in his career, this guy could do everything. Like, he can be my Kyle Hamilton in this defense if we get him fixed. I don't know.
Jordan Brooks, the other interesting one, former first-round pick that is a free agent for Seattle, and he showed flashes through the years. He's been inconsistent too, but at the same time, by our numbers, Roquan Smith was very inconsistent until he went to Baltimore. Patrick Queen rejuvenated his career, at least to a point, as a former first-round pick under McDonald. I wonder if they try to bring Jordan Brooks back, because he's a talented guy. He's just been, again, some coverage issues, pretty good against the run over the last couple of years. Could be another. That's the intrigue, I think, with Seattle. It's like some reclamation projects on the current roster that could make the defense that much better.
Yeah, and as much as corner is in a pretty good spot, like outside of corner, who can cover? Like, they have two linebackers. If they bring back Jordan Brooks, coverage is his weakness, and then you have Bobby Wagner, who the older he gets, the weaker his coverage ability gets, just through age and decline. And then
I'm curious to see how much the Michigan scheme, the Michigan Ravens scheme going across the NFL starts valuing linebackers.
Yeah, and if it values them a lot, like, where are Seattle getting their coverage linebackers from? Because they don't really have any at the moment.
Where's their draft? So they're picking at 16. They don't have that second-round pick, but they have 78 and 81. Those are both third-rounders, right? Just looking at the mock draft simulator. 7 total picks. What are your thoughts on Seattle at 16?
Patrick Queen, by the way, he was a free agent. Like,
could bring Queen in.
Yeah.
That could be the guy.
Could be the guy.
Bring in. Seattle does not have a lot of the places where we say teams have needs in the first round that mesh with where the draft board might be, receiver, corner, and tackle. Seattle's pretty set at all those spots, right? 2 good young corners. Receiver, I mean, you could always get younger, but I don't think they're taking another first-round receiver. And they have 2 good young tackles in Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas. So middle of the first round, I mean, is that a Brock Bowers potential landing spot? If he's there at 16 for Seattle, are they just going all defensive line potentially? Byron Murphy on the defensive interior, especially if they let Leonard Williams walk, or they've invested a ton of second-rounders and edge rushers over the last couple of years, but I don't know if they've actually hit. Boye Mafe did break out last year, but they could still use some help off the edge.
Yeah. Let me give you a couple of low-price free agent linebackers, though, that can cover.
Yeah, play that game.
Willie Gay.
I like Willie Gay, yeah.
Free agent. Stupid athleticism. Now, they've often used him more as, like, spy athleticism as opposed to coverage athleticism, but I think he can do that as well.
He makes some of the... I always expect him to grade well in coverage because he makes some ridiculous plays.
Yeah. So maybe he just needs the right system. Not that the system he's been in hasn't been good, but anyway. And then Tyrell Dotson is the other one who stepped in, played for Buffalo last year with all their linebackers getting hurt and graded stupidly well. Again, he's sort of undersized, got some good athleticism. Like, either one or both of those guys coming into that linebacker core, I think would make it dramatically more athletic and versatile in coverage. Maybe you keep Bobby Wagner around for, veteran mentorship, etc. But for very little money, I think you would have dramatically improved your ability to cover at that spot.
I like it. You've given some good answers here. Seattle, I'm going to go back to their first-round pick. Center Evan Brown hits free agency. They did draft Oluwatimi from Michigan last year. He could potentially step in, but they, like every center-needy team, Jackson Powers-Johnson, got to throw him into the mix there.
Are there any other centers in the draft?
Not in the first round.
Okay.
Not in the first round. Zach Frazier from West Virginia, second round. They don't have a second rounder.
They don't have a second
Don't have a second rounder.
It's JPJ or bust.
That's right. It's the only place to go. I think edge rush, though, too. Again, I don't know where Latu and Jared Verse, the guys that I actually like, their land. Dallas Turner, I think we mocked him to Seattle as a first rounder, but I think they should be in the edge market there for sure.
We're both out on Dallas Turner. He's not an option.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
We don't like it.
Well, we'll see. Pending the combine. Combine matters.
Ending the combine.
In the model, yeah. Combine matters in the model. Combine matters the most for, if we're talking about project, I don't want to hear it waltz. Don't tell me just watch the film. Combine actually does project to production for edge, it matters. Corner, it matters. Tight end. Receiver a little. I mean, as long as
you're telling me that you could go from out to in on Dallas Turner based on the combine, and by you I mean the model.
The model, the way I implement the model, which I just made up and just said, just give me 80th percentile players. If I just said 80th or better, there's a chance he could get to the 80th.
Jump
percentile.
the line.
Yeah, he
could combine
because he's in the 60s right now. It's not. I'm not out on him like I was out on Tyree Wilson. Like Tyree Wilson literally could have been an Olympic sprinter, and it wouldn't have helped. Trayvon Walker literally did that. Like had the best combine of all time. It didn't help.
It's actually hilarious how anti Tyree Wilson you were, and yet still may not have been harsh enough.
Wasn't harsh enough
in year one. It's like when I was the lowest of anybody on Laquan Treadwell, and apparently still wasn't low enough.
120 on my draft board was not low enough.
We were trying to convince you that 120 on the board was like unreasonably silly. And actually, if you just put him there, it probably would have looked the best of anybody's, but like first round or not big board.
The workout stuff does matter here, especially if you're on the cusp, if you're on the borderline. So we'll see. Right now, I've got this run with everybody with average combine measurables. Right. So everybody's on the same playing field so far. What else do we have here? What else are we doing?
So we overhaul linebacker.
Damian Lewis he's one of the guards that I've given other teams. He's one of their free agents.
So we've given them JPJ at center, but we still need both guards.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily I'd rather the edge rushers than JPJ.
Then we need all three of the interior offensive linemen.
Yeah, give me the guards and centers in free agency.
I mean, it's the same thing. If you need three starters in the offensive line, you need to hit it in both free agency and the draft. Like you can't just pick and choose. So if you bring back Damian Lewis, but also, I mean, you could be shopping.
Tyler Biadasz is out there.
Connor Williams at center. I mean, there's places to go. Coleman Shelton just got cut from the Rams, right?
Yes. I mean, I would try to shore things up on the offensive line, as always, prior to the draft as much as possible.
Yeah.
Creep back toward average, get solid players. They weren't great as a line last year, but they dealt with some injuries. If they can get a couple solid starters in there, at least get 4 out of 5, feel pretty good about their tackles so far. Again, I like the playmaker situation for Geno Smith. I think you could always get a little bit younger at receiver, maybe not with high draft picks, but the middle rounds at receiver, again, might have a nice group of options. If, as DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, there's going to be a point where you're going to want to probably get rid of one of those guys.
I mean, Lockett
especially at this point in his career.
Looking for an heir apparent to Tyler Lockett, I think, would make a lot of sense.
They did it with Smith and Jigba, but I think you keep playing that game.
Yeah, and I don't know if they anticipate him being the heir to that spot, or whether they're going to go in a different direction. But absolutely, like a mid-round pick to try and find Tyler Lockett's eventual successor makes a lot of sense.
Cade Stover, the tight end from Ohio State, I like him as a potential third. If we're talking about Noah Fant is gone and Will Dissly is going to come back as your blocking tight end. I do think I'm curious about the defense and McDonald and what he's doing, what he wants to value. I like the free agent linebacker idea for you, but I like a lot of youth on the defensive line as well.